Welcome to Spain, Poco a Poco. Buenos dias, Tanya.
Buenos dias. Today we're going to talk about chocolate.
I think it's
Yay.
called chocolate, but
Chocolate. Yes. I normally call it chocolate, but chocolate. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is a great subject. Who doesn't love chocolate? I actually do know a few people that don't, but I think most people do.
I do too, and I
It's
have yet to
weird.
cut them to find out if their blood is green because they are not human.
I'm kind of on this thing where it's like, you loving horror films and people not liking chocolate. This is on the same bar for me.
Oh,
Like, I'm not
that's.
sure what to think
See, I
about
like chocolate
people.
and horror films, so sorry.
No, if you didn't like chocolate and you liked horror films, it would be like, oh my God.
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Are you human? No, you're not. All right. Do you want to start?
Well, I think, since we're doing a Poco on chocolate, it should be pretty obvious that Spain has something to do with this.
Spain does have something to do with this, which, I mean, the more you learn, the more it seems obvious, but I love this too.
I do too. I mean, Spain brought chocolate to the rest of the world, right?
Hmm
If it wasn't for the pillaging and plundering of the Americas, we wouldn't have
We
we
wouldn't have
wouldn't have
chocolate.
delicious treats.
Yeah, so back in the 16th century, we have the Spanish conquistadors going over to the Americas and bringing things back. This chocolate in particular has been said that it is Hernan Cortez that was the specific person that brought it over, but there are some suggestions that there might be a Maya delegation in 1544. So we're not 100% sure, but we know it's around then.
We don't know who the exact who was for certain, but we know it was the Spanish
It was
people.
the Spanish people. Now they went and they brought the cocoa beans back from the Aztec Empire, and they already had a chocolate drink, but it was very bitter. It was I don't know how you would pronounce this, but it looks a lot like Valenciano. It has an X, has X's and lots of vowels and
Huaco,
jockey.
Huacotl,
Maybe, who knows?
Huacotl.
Because we don't speak Aztec. So it was made of cocoa beans, water, chili peppers, and cornmeal, and it was served cold. So, as nice as this might have been, this was not exactly the chocolate we know today.
Have you ever had like a Mexican hot chocolate?
Yes, very good, but it's sweet. They were not adding any sugar into this. So we're
Sweet but
talking
spicy because they still do add the chili powder
very
and
good.
stuff.
And I have a very good Diablo cookie, double chocolate cookie that's made with chili peppers as well. And it is a really good cookie.
Oh, that
So,
sounds
yes,
good.
I'm not suggesting
Mhm.
that chili and chocolate don't go together, but a
I
cold,
don't know if cornmeal in my cup goes together
yeah.
though.
And I'm thinking a cold, hot, like a cold, really bitter. If you've ever had cocoa that is,
Yeah, like Baker's chocolate. Ooh,
like
yeah.
baker's chocolate. If you've ever bitten into that by accident or eaten that, I mean, it is bitter. So if you're imagining you're just melting that in and with chili peppers, that's where we're at right now.
So, yes.
What do the Spanish think of that, Gaetano?
They didn't like it.
No. Who can blame them?
So after they brought the cocoa beans over and the recipe from the Americas, which was not pleasurable, but wasn't like everyone got to see it. This was for the wealthy, and the monks were part of the wealthy class, right? They had access to all these things, so the monks decided to mix it in with some vanilla and cinnamon and sugar and honey and all the things that make it luxurious and wonderful.
Right.
And then it became closer to the drink that we're used to, right? The cocoa, how we're used to it.
And then they turned it into a hot beverage, right? So also they heated it and maybe sometimes added milk. So we are definitely getting closer to something that would be worthy of aristocracy and clergy at the time.
Well, yes. I mean, as we've discussed, when they've pillaged and plundered and brought this stuff back, the turkeys were only for the wealthy at first. But let me harken back to that episode.
There we go. Exactly. Well, of course, I mean, the things they were bringing over were they were very unique and elaborate. So this was an interesting find. They didn't know quite what to do with it at first, but once they had turned it into a delicious hot drink with some sugar, now you've got something.
And not only that, they were the predecessors to the wellness industry because they had determined that it had solved a lot of problems.
I know, this was so funny, right? So there were many medicinal uses actually and benefits, one would say. And it was not surprisingly a highly prized nutritional for additive for fattening
Right.
people up. So
Well, back
who
then,
knew?
those are the Caravaggio days of painting, where a plump
Right.
woman was and a plump man was a sign of wealth and beauty. So,
Exactly. Or maybe you were sick and you got too thin and you needed something to get yourself well. So, as a medicinal thing like that, it was helpful. It was also a digestive aid, a digestivo.
and
And
they
yeah,
claimed it cured kidney disease. So my kidneys should be fine.
well, exactly. You're not going to have any kidney problems. I mean, who knew? I don't know how much they knew about kidney disease back then. So, this is who knows, right?
Right.
And it was also, which I suppose one can imagine, it was a a good vehicle for taking other drugs. So if you've got this nice thing, you could put other drugs that you needed to take inside of this and have something a slightly better to
So
eat.
this is where Mary Poppins got her spoonful of
Hmm.
sugar makes the medicine go
I
down.
think so. Yeah, I think that might be it.
I'd rather have it with chocolate than with sugar myself.
Oh, that's true. I mean, and on top of all that, there was already a medical debate on whether this was actually good for people or not. So even though they were throwing it into everything, there were people that would be like, I don't know, maybe this isn't the be all and end all of
This,
everything,
right?
but who
How dare they
knows?
speak up?
I know. Just so rude.
Now, what we can say about the hot chocolate here, which is
Hmm.
we've talked about before, what I love about the hot chocolate here is it's more like a pudding in a cup
Hmm.
versus like a hot chocolate milk,
Yes,
right?
yes, and I think this thickness is something that lasted over from the Aztec hot chocolate because that, or the cold chocolate, sorry,
Hmm.
because that had the cornmeal in it. So I'm thinking that the Aztecs thing might have been quite thick as well in some
Right.
regards. I don't know that for sure, but that based on the ingredients, it seems like it might have been.
So I never had read that. I mean, I don't read the ingredient packages. So now I feel like I need to go run to my cabinet and get my package of my Spanish hot chocolate mix. There's cornstarch in it. That's the thickening
Well,
agent.
there's some thickening in it because if you ever get it and then you try and reheat it, it's gelatinous. So
Right.
there's something in there obviously that's thickening it, and that thick texture, which is made with cornstarch or corn flour or something and added, is what makes it this beautiful thick hot chocolate that is very, very special to
Right.
Spain that you dip your churros in. I mean, we've had that. We went and got churros. We did that video on that we have up that's like, this was not the right hot chocolate because I dipped my churro in and it was like tea. And I'm like,
Yeah. It
nope.
just absorbed it. It didn't coat it.
No,
Yes.
it has to leave a thick coating on that churro. And that's the only way that can
Right.
work,
You should,
right?
I feel like you should be able to stick your churro in it and it stands up and
Mm-hmm.
stays there, right?
Almost. Yeah, for sure. That could be a good indication of whether that's working or not. So I think what I find really interesting about this, though, is that it was a secret in Spain. They kept it to themselves for almost 100 years or over 100 years, which I think is, I mean,
It
clever.
is. It's amazing because, well, one, if you think the only people that had access to it was the royal family, the royals, and
Hmm.
then the monks. Well, the monks
Right.
were living up in a mountain, keeping quiet, so that was a
Right.
good place to keep your secrets.
Right, exactly. So they're just like, this is too good to share, you know? We're just going to keep it to ourselves. And amazing that for that long, you think of 100 years, that's a long time.
You would think, but what let the cat out of the bag was because they were all intermarrying, and then
Right.
then they had to go marry some German prince, and then they brought
Hmm.
some chocolate with them, and it spread all over Europe, and then the rest of the world. But
Maybe
that's
this
just
is the beginning of why families don't share recipes to anybody, right?
right.
I mean, obviously the recipes were going with the marriages, which is very unusual, right? I mean,
Right.
it's like nobody shares their recipe, it's like buried with them.
Right.
And here are the Spanish giving away their recipes with their marriages and the dowries and whatever. So yeah, that made an end to it, and then it started spreading around Europe, obviously.
No, this is a funny story, right? Or a funny little fun fact. Or we call this
Hmm.
a fun fact.
Fun fact.
So because Spain was the only route of like handling this trade, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they're the only ones that knew about the chocolate. They kept the chocolate to themselves. No one else in the knew. And I guess, like, when other countries would come across it, I read that, like, England mistook the shipments for like a bag of sheep droppings. Like,
Well, I mean, it would look like that. I don't know what sheep dropping looks like. Yeah, bunny rabbit droppings, whatever,
yeah,
right? So
I
I mean,
guess
it
so,
just
yeah.
looks like I mean, I'm always amazed sometimes at how we have managed to get food out of certain things like coconuts and the cocoa beans too. I mean, they obviously didn't look like anything. And I
Right,
think if the Spanish maybe, I mean, I'm not saying the Spanish couldn't have figured that out too, but if they hadn't had already, the Aztecs had already done it sometime before, and then they knew that it was going to turn into something. I mean,
right.
you might
Well, I
never
mean, the
know.
cocoa bean's huge, so they must have been having like the little cocoa nibs that they were seeing,
Maybe.
right? They
Yeah,
must
they'd
have just
probably
had.
already broken it down, maybe.
Yeah, they'd
Yeah.
already processed it for, probably
So,
because that would make it easier to ship across the
oh
oceans if it's
yeah,
already been
probably.
processed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe. So sheep droppings, cocoa beans,
yeah.
whatever.
Cocoa nibs,
Cocoa
whatever.
nibs, whatever it is. So yeah, so the thick hot chocolate, as we've said, is basically the legacy that is very much very Spanish. That's,
Very
I mean,
Spanish,
if you
yeah.
think of all the different countries that do different things with the chocolate, that's probably what they're more famous for, I would think.
Hmm.
And we
And do
have
you know what the name of the chocolate town is? What our own Hershey, the Hershey,
our own little.
Pennsylvania of Spain?
I did not know this. We might need a trip. Villa Joyosa in
Very good.
Alicante,
That sounds
chocolate
great.
town. Yeah, I think that's we're gonna. I mean, and there's also a few museums which I found, and I think some of them are quite close to us. Excellent.
Well, there's the Valor Museum. So Valor is the
Hmm.
big chocolate. That's like Spain's. I hate to say Hershey's because it's so much better than Hershey's,
It
but
is
it
so
is.
much better because
But it
Hershey's.
is when you think of what is the national brand that is, and they have cafes
Yeah,
around this in all the
it's
cities,
like
and
Cadbury's. Let's give it Cadbury's.
yeah,
I
I would
mean,
agree
it's
with
like
that.
it's a
Yeah.
good like national brand. If you go into the grocery store, it's one of the main chocolate brands where they have everything from almonds and chocolate and everything and big. So you'll recognize that if you've spent any time in Spain, any time
Right.
shopping in Spain for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they have a museum down in that
Hmm.
Villa Joyosa, which is near Alicante. So it's in Valencia, and the state of Valencia
Hmm.
had said that that is the chocolate museum of Valencia.
Of
So
course, and
no
then
imitations. Don't even try.
and then you have a Museo de la Chocolata in Barcelona.
Hmm.
And that you can do workshops and tastings and you can try things and you can.
I believe we talked about that in our Museums of
I think
Barcelona
we might
episode.
have, and I was looking at the pictures and it looks really fun. Kids, adults acting as kids acting whatever, like you can have a lot of fun there, I think.
Hmm. And the smells of that museum. I
Oh
think
my
you walk by the
god.
door. You
Can
just
you imagine?
mm.
Now the one that's really close to us,
Is
Sueca,
Swaka.
very close. That's got to be only 45 minutes from here, I think.
Well, if you have a car, can you take a train to Swaka?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, it's probably on the way down. It's got to be close
See,
to a
you're
train.
car people, I'm train people. So if I can't get there by train, I'm not seeing
Bummer
it.
for you.
I
This one looks really fun. They have actually this would maybe be even more museumy. They have a lot of like machinery for chocolate making and old advertising posters, and you can actually see people showing you and how they craft chocolate. And this particular chocolate place, I think, is also somewhere where they are making chocolate, and they have a specific stone ground chocolate. That's what their specialty
That's
is.
their thing.
Yeah,
That's
so
their
you
thing.
probably, I mean, you couldn't leave any of those museums without a bunch of chocolate, I wouldn't imagine.
No. So we do have our. If we want to talk about while you're here, you want to pick up some chocolate. What are our brands? What do you find? What
I
do you
think
like? And what do you like? So.
I don't know that. I mean, we do eat the Valor because that is one of the main ones in the grocery store. So I'm just picking up something there. That's where it's
Mhm.
going. We have also I mean, there is a absolutely amazing chocolate shop in Valencia. I think they're only in Valencia called Papua. I think they're Papua. And
Mhm.
they make, I don't know if you've seen them, they make those beautiful little chocolates that look like planets and they're like airbrushed. I mean, they're absolutely
Oh, they're like
gorgeous.
artwork. It's
It's
like,
art.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
art. You
Oh,
buy one and you just look at
savor
it for like 3 days, and then you're like, I should probably eat it. But those are my
it.
favorite. If it's like I buy those for gifts and things,
Hmm.
but that's not something you're gonna like just sit in front of the TV and like eat a bunch of them, because obviously they're very elaborate.
Well, I mean, I hate to sound lowbrow, but the bag of truffles, the Mercadona brand bag
Oh,
of
really?
truffles, I those are a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, I
Those
get
are.
those. There's like 30 in a bag for like 4 or 5 euros. Yeah, I'm
That
getting
seems like a
those.
good deal. Zena will tell you La Cositas. That's like the Spanish M&Ms or Smarties.
And
They're
they come in
on.
more Smarties colors, right? They're more pastel
They're
colors,
more
correct?
pastel. Well, they're quite bright actually, but Smarties are colored naturally. I don't know that La Cositas are. I think they might be more, but they might be a bit more natural. And they also come in tiny sizes. And those are the ones you'll find like on ice cream or something as more of a
Mm-hmm.
sprinkle. So they'll come in these teeny tiny ones as well. And those are, so that's kind of like, I'm just bringing that one up as kind of one of the more obviously sort of basic kids chocolate
Right.
type thing.
Right. And then there's cacao,
Hmm.
which you've got to have our ethical brands. That's
That's the one.
try to be as least chemical free and pure sugars and less additives.
Yeah, and then there's a Chocolates Amatelier, which is another Barcelona, an iconic chocolate house, and they've been around since 1797. But I'm thinking, based on how long chocolate's been here, I don't know if they're the oldest. We should have looked this up before we started. Um, they're getting close. I mean, they're getting
It's a
close to
long
the
time. Yeah.
1600s, so they might be one of the oldest ones in Spain that have been doing this the longest. And I mean, Spanish chocolate is, I will say, one of the things living here I have seen that definitely in America you don't see as much of is the types of flavors that are added into the chocolate and the types of bars of chocolate that you can buy here. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that at all.
Mm. I mean, not really. I mean, I haven't paid attention. I mean, I've noticed that the chocolate itself, even the milk chocolate, is a little bit more bitter than like
Mm.
I feel like the American chocolate is just sweet for sweet sake, not flavor sake. Where you go to like Belgium and France and it's like the chocolate's sweet but also very rich.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying the chocolate isn't rich here, but there's like a bitterness to the chocolate here in my experience. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying
I
it's
think they like their darker chocolates for
mm-hmm,
sure. So I would. There's more of an array of different levels of darkness, I think. But
mm-hmm.
they also, the Spanish have sort of historically just blended more spices into, if you get flavor things like I'll see things with little orange peels and cloves and like different, like even still this kind of chili chocolate, all these sorts of things, like very more elaborate kind of flavors, I think. Not just your regular sort of grocery store stuff, but if you
Mm-hmm.
find some artisan chocolate, I think the flavors in
But
the
I would
artisan chocolate are
say
different.
even the grocery store brands have some of these exotic flavors that you
Hmm.
might not necessarily expect to have the generic brand
Right.
have these flavors in them as
Yeah,
well.
and I do think they like their chocolate darker here, because I think you're right. Like some of the other countries around Europe they do a much richer, much more elaborate milk chocolates, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we talked about. So I guess maybe we should go into and end the show with what brought chocolate up to date to taste it is, and what each countries have where they put their hand in the pot, as
Hmm.
it were. So in Spain, as we know, they introduced it to Europe and
Hmm.
they sweetened it. So
That's a
that's what
major.
they've done. That's major.
That's major, because that created something that other people were like, "Oh, what can we
Right.
do with it?" Right? And the French, obviously, they, you know, they got the chocolate probably through royal marriages and stuff, and it got up into France
It was
and
part of the dowry, right?
got a
Give
part of
us
the
the
dowry,
recipe and
right?
your bride, right?
Or just the recipe, maybe. And obviously in France also it became very fashionable, they and they started to create very sort of elaborate, beautiful chocolate houses. And that was sort of their like very just for the elite, so they turn chocolate really into something very elite. Like in Spain, I
So you
think
mean like chocolate house is not like a chocolate house,
not like a gingerbread house.
not like or do you mean like a fashion house? Like
I
it
mean
was
like
like
a fashion house.
right, like a couturier of chocolate.
Yes, because I feel like in Spain the chocolate was only for the nobles and the clergy, because those were the people that sort of had access to it, and it was something that was expensive. Yeah, so in France, basically, it was fashionable. They turned it into a fashionable thing, which of course would also be for the elite, but they really turned it into something very, very fancy, which I think the chocolate in Spain hadn't really reached fancy yet. It was just expensive.
Now this was the elite that had access. I mean, it was the rich, right?
Was the
so
rich.
Rich doesn't mean you're elite. It just means you can afford things,
Exactly.
Right? So a common man with money could now have access to it, right? So
yeah.
And then in the Netherlands, they perfected the processing of chocolate and cocoa powder, and I mean, thank you for that.
Thank you for that. I was just going to say, I mean, this for me is the turning point. I mean, now you can put it in everything, right?
Right. And through that processing, they were able to make it easier to make solid chocolate and the chocolate bars and everything else.
Which is interesting. So turning it into a powder made it easier to turn back into a solid. So that was around 1828. And
that recent? Wow, that seems...
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's 200 years ago, but still.
It took a long time, I guess. Yeah. Well, at that point, now you're going into mass production, right? So you need sort of factory type things, probably more sort of machinery that maybe didn't exist before. And also now it looks like if you're turning it into cocoa powder and turning it into solids, it's probably coming down in price a little bit, because that I would imagine as well. So that's probably why it took so long, I would imagine. In England.
Bring up jolly old England. That's
jolly
your
old England. Just a little while after that, in 1847, by mixing cocoa butter, cocoa powder, and sugar, they created a chocolate bar. So that was a shift from drinking to just eating.
Wow. So the United Kingdom took what they learned from the Netherlands and they made the chocolate bar.
I guess so.
The Netherlands provided the process to start to the processing of the powder. Wow.
And now you can sit on your couch and eat chocolate.
And then we end with Switzerland, which they just added milk powder and created milk chocolate. And thank you for that. That's what gives us that melt in your mouth, melt in your hands. And Rudolf Lindt invented what was called the conching machine.
Well, I mean, we've all seen the Lindt chocolate. I didn't know that it went this far back and he had actually invented this machine, which I think I had no idea. So so this machine is what must be a processing machine that makes everything really smooth. And you were just saying at the beginning, that melt in your mouth, like smoothness that comes from, or no, I don't think you said smoothness, but that is what it is, right? Of this Swiss chocolate is the richness, and that is coming from the richness, and the smoothness is what really melts in your mouth. And that is what Rudolf Lindt had created, and they're still going pretty strong today, I'd say.
You can find Lindt chocolates everywhere you go. Yes, you can. Really right here in Spain too.
Everywhere. We have every now and again when they have, I think, sort of Easter and these things, when all these extra things come in, they have these buckets of those Lindt individual ones, and you can just kind of make your own bag of whatever flavors, because they have like, I don't know, 10 flavors or something of those little truffles. Yeah. Oh, they're so good.
They are good.
Well, I think I need to go eat some chocolate. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that's enough for our Poco today.
I think so.
I think we're going to go to the stores and get some chocolate.
Absolutely. Till next time.
Till next time. Adios.
Adios. Thank you for listening to Our Spain Poco a Poco. Since you love us so much, please do go on to our social media and follow us and like us and subscribe where you're listening, because it really does help us to grow and stick around and do what we are very much enjoying doing.
And, give us a shout out on the social medias. Give us a comment on what you would like to hear us talk about? I mean, we like to hear ourselves speak, but we do want to make this, informative for our listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. You can comment on one of our posts, or you can send us a message through our Spain Facebook page or Instagram. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Till the next episode.
Bye.